Welcome back as we continue a vitally important conversation that we really should be having every day. Our next guest is a man who believes that no boy is born an abuser and that gender-based violence can be eradicated before it starts. We have seen this proven in real-life stories. Craig Wilkinson is the founder and CEO of Father, a Nation, an NPC that works to encourage positive masculinity here in South Africa, teaching and inspiring boys and men to stand against any form of abuse. And Craig has seen it all from husbands who beat their partners, men who abandon and abuse their families, but he still believes that true masculinity is a force for good. He joins us to share his story right now, as well as the work that his amazing organization, I'm going to call them a movement, are doing during the bigger, broader movement of 16 days of activism, where we take the 365 days of activism and we kind of hone them into a tip of the spear, if you will. Craig, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here.
Great pleasure.
I would imagine your cup gets filled daily and then your cup gets smashed to pieces and then you build it again and then you try to fill it up again. Why do you do the work that you do?
I was a single dad for many years.
Okay.
And, you know, one of the greatest gifts I've ever received in my life was my son. When he turned 18, he wrote me a letter.
Wow.
And he said, it started off, "Dear Dad, I just want to thank you for being my brother, my best friend, but most importantly, my father." It was a tearjerker. I mean, it took about 12...
I did warn you about 30 seconds before we started this. I had a feeling,
But that kind of propelled me into just realizing how important fathers are and how absent they are in this nation. It was the greatest gift I've ever received. And, of course, you know, later on began to see the extent of gender-based violence in our nation and the correlation between fatherlessness and gender-based violence. Boys growing up without models, you know, so...
It's as simple as that. I was so blessed. I grew up without a father,
Right.
which meant I grew up with many fathers.
Okay.
I was so blessed to have amazing... Many of my friends have become that dominant male figure. Even now, I still look at that archetype that they have laid out through their lived experience. Today, I still lean on them. Where did yours come from? Where did your notion of a man come from in that space?
Well, I mean, I think it comes from getting it wrong first. I mean, what inspired me to be, to grow as a man was being a father, because you realize your kids need you, you know, and they don't need you just to be there. They need you to be, they need you to be okay and to model to them, you know. I mean, I often challenge men and I say, you know, be the man you want your daughter to marry one day. That's a challenge. Be the man you want your son to become. So that's what inspired me. But I grew up, you know, with wounds and challenges, and I think, as with you, your mentors come from all over the place, you know. I mean, in the age we live in today, mentors can be YouTube clips, can be books, can be podcasts, you know. So a lot of the guys that are mentors you don't meet. But it requires an intentionality to seek out good men and good advice and grow, you know. And it's a journey, you know, it's a journey.
Completely, and you feel like a failure for most of the time. That's the joy of being a parent, is you generally retrospectively enjoy your successes.
Well, as long as you are able to see that and correct, eh?
Exactly. This requires community, this requires a mirror to hold up, and often you need your brothers around you to be able to do that.
Without a doubt.
And your sisters. I don't mean to make this an only male conversation, but there is something that we can do by modelling for each other.
100%.
Father, a Nation. How do we get this right? Because it's a big picture that focuses on individuals. How do we get that balance right? How are you approaching it?
Well, you know, I've written material on fatherhood, on positive masculinity, and on gender-based violence. So what we do is we do a lot of different programs, but focusing on dialogue, getting men to dialogue. As you and I know, men don't talk, and therefore men commit suicide 4 times more than women. And a lot of it's because we don't talk and we don't cry, as you know. So by getting men to dialogue, creating a safe platform for them to talk, it pops the bubble, man. It lances the boil, and so much comes out of that. But then at the same time, teaching them that, dude, masculinity is a positive, beautiful gift to humanity, and this is how you can be that. Because often what's modeled to men growing up is not positive masculinity.
No.
You know,
it's strength.
It's strength, power, dominance. You know, well, I mean, the 4 big lies. Sex, power, money, and big boys don't cry. That's what we grew up with, you know, and that's false masculinity.
Well, it's a first-layer trauma thing for me. I think people often don't... You know, we know behind every bully there is a traumatic experience, but when you layer that through the fabric of South Africa, it gets real very quickly. A reason is not an excuse.
Right.
You want to show real strength. Have the rage, don't let it out.
100%.
Have the anger, don't let it out. Have the disappointment in yourself, don't let it out, or find a way more powerfully to assimilate it, to take it on board. How do you get that right in your own life? When you've got to hold up a mirror to yourself and get real, because you've put it out there now, you've got to be a model for, for the rest of us. How do you get that right in your own life?
Well, I mean, first embracing imperfection. You know, we're not perfect. But and what you said about the band of brothers is so crucial. We need brothers, you know. Brothers are our mirrors, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you and I can be mirrors to each other. You see me screwing up and you say, dude, you know.
And your chommies will feel rocks to tell you. Yeah.
Well, and they shouldn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they should, you know. So, I mean, having a band of brothers, you know, realizing too that someone's watching us. Someone's watching you, me, and we're leading the way. And where are our footprints leading? You know, are they leading to the right place? What are they teaching younger men to do? So having that knowledge that every one of us is a role model to some degree, and someone's watching us. You know, young boys take their cues from older men. Simple, you know. And what kind of older men are we?
Yeah, or hopefully you are asking yourself that question right now. What kind of an older man, what kind of a young man are you right now? And would one day you be willing to let your daughter date you and the man that you are becoming in that sense? Massive questions to ask. I know we can make light of it, but it speaks to a very powerful common thread in this country right now. We know we face massive challenges, but therein is an incredible solution. We're going to continue this discussion in just a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. This is a conversation that we really can sink our teeth into right now. Father a Nation is a non-profit company that aims to address gender-based violence, crime and fatherlessness by restoring and equipping men to be nation builders, fathers and role models. They teach men to use their strength to love, to serve, to protect and to provide, and to be activists against any form of abuse. It's a loop. And this is a particularly important message, obviously, during 16 days of activism. And founder and CEO Craig Wilkinson is back on the couch to continue our conversation now with the way that we can get practical. We need proof, and I would imagine that this is something that when I talk about your cup being filled and then destroyed every day, you must encounter some terrible stories, but on the flip side of that, see amazing changes happen. Can you highlight some of the examples that have maybe rocked your world?
Oh, there's so many stories. I mean, one of the guys who works for us, his name is Mama Bolo, and he was an abuser, went through 2 marriages, was abused, was abusive, came on one of our camps, had an aha moment, got together with a band of brothers, and radically changed his life. He now works for us as an activist, and so many other stories. We've had many women. Alex, we ran a program, Alexander in Johannesburg, and we had many women coming to us after, and in tears, just saying, "Thank you, you know, thank you." It's the one woman said, "It's so painful being abused by someone you love."
Yeah.
And since being through your programs, we've our men are, her words, our men are treating us well now. You know, so we're seeing amazing results. We see amazing results.
Because something is broken. You know, when you look at society, we had Zonia here earlier, when a woman is willing to sacrifice her baby so that she can get the basic necessities of life, just basically to get to school, get to work, that's the equation, and we don't like to think of it like that. In men's case, when you aren't able to provide, that was certainly the thing that broke me.
Devastating.
I would have done anything. During the peak of COVID, I would have done anything when the chips were down. Crazy stuff happened to me physically. Family was separated. We lost everything. I remember thinking to myself, I will never again judge anybody.
Right.
How do we turn that switch? Is it as simple as restoring broken men? Or is there something that needs to shift within society? Because the leaders that we look up to might not be providing that. So where is that button?
Well, that's a huge problem, and it's an intergenerational, transgenerational thing. You know, wounded men become men who wound. Unfathered men become men who abandon their own children or don't know how to do it. I mean, you and I know as fathers, you come into it and you kind of wing it, you know.
Yeah, for
what do we
sure.
do? So you know, there's room for conversations with men conversating with men, with women chatting to women, and then coming together as both. And that band of brothers we talked about earlier, the older men, the older mentors, teaching younger boys how to do this. And, you know, we live in a society where biological dads are largely absent.
Yeah.
I mean, up to 60% of kids are growing up without a father. So men need to get together and start to mentor the next generation, father the next generation. And if we start a movement of positive, powerful masculinity, you know, for me, men, there are 2 faces that men need to wear. One is the warrior face. Yeah. There are times when you've got to man up, you know, whatever that means. Yeah. You've got to take it on the chin, you've got to just, you know, suck it up and just do it resolute. But then that's only half of masculinity. The other side is the lover face. That's when you're soft, gentle, loving, caring, are able to be vulnerable, able to shed the tears. And, you know, if we can have both of those operating in society, we'll absolutely heal the world.
It's happening. I know the world feels more polarized than ever before, but we are running out of space for that kind of behavior, hence why we are having such a crazy reaction right now. I feel like that we have an opportunity for the world. Because of what COVID gave us, the world is on the same page now, whether we like it or not, and that is an opportunity. How do we engage as men? How do we connect to you? If we're wanting to bring our brothers into this fold, how do we approach that?
Specifically Father a Nation?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, we have a lot of free resources, you know, resources of two major courses. One is gender-based violence, understanding what it is and the actions that men can take. It's a free course available on our website, Father a Nation. And the other one is in positive masculinity. We call it the six-pack of masculine virtues. You know, not the six-pack you have here. I see you've probably got one there.
We've been working on it. It's the pain and anxiety diet. I see you've been enjoying it as well.
Not the six-pack you drink, but what's inside, you know. It's the six virtues that make a man a good man. And masculinity is a powerful, positive gift to humanity. We just need to unleash it. I often say to people, we don't need to reinvent masculinity. No. We need to rediscover it.
Yeah,
return to what it really is. It loves, it serves. You know, the more power and strength you have, the more responsibility you have to serve and to love and to protect. And that's what it is.
I love the fact that, and we can maybe bring this full circle, because everyone is connected now, the top tier of life to the bottom tier, and whether that's socio-economic, conscious, religious, we all are, as I said, on the same page. For good or for bad, we've got to make this work. What can we do as organizations wanting to make a difference? How do we get behind purpose-driven movements like yourselves, others that you are working with? What do you need from us? We know what men we have to do. We've got to talk. We've got to talk to each other. Maybe that can be just our starting point. What do you need from everyone else? Well,
organizations are a microcosm of society, aren't they? So the responsibility of leaders within organizations is to create the culture there that you'd like to see permeate society. You know, for us as a non-profit, you know, we're always looking for funders to come on board. We're always looking for projects. We work in communities and in organizations because the two merge. You know, people who come to work go back to homes and communities.
Oh, for sure. It's an
and schools. So 100%. So, I mean, the opportunity to make a radical difference within an ecosystem of an organization is enormous, and then take it back. So that's what we like to do.
Look for the connections. I can guarantee you there is a purpose-driven movement that is waiting for your organization to layer your resources over so you get to benefit from the trust, the power of this kind of relationship that is going to build with your market moving forward. It's time for big business, big money to get behind these big ideas, because men and women are doing amazing things in this country. And as a man, you have a role to play. I love this. This is what a strong man looks like, and this is what he does for the young men, for the old men that are sitting around him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look at you when I said old man. I was kind of more thinking of myself. But you have an opportunity to connect with your band of brothers. Just do it. Start that conversation today. Craig, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Wow.